Hello, and welcome to episode 10 of Daryl Show Your Work. And in this episode, I'll be covering another TCP/IP packet tool called Hping, which is command line based. But before I do that, I wanted to cover some more nmap commands, just a few more dealing with different formats that we can put our output in. So I wanted to cover normal format, XML format, and also greffable format, which you've already done, but I just kind of wanted to review that again, and just to ensure that we can see the different options that we have in terms of output, and in different situations, where we want a machine to read our output when it comes to XML, or we want something more human readable when it comes to normal output or greffable output. I want to show how we could put our nmap outputs into those specific formats. So I'm going to run this route just to ensure that I have all the privileges to do that. Again, this is something that I generally warn against, because you don't want to mess up anything with your operating system or just over your overall process overall. So again, it's a disclaimer, and I'm just doing it here just to ensure that I have the correct amount of permissions to run the commands that I want to run in this lab. All right, so to start out, we're going to run an nmap command, and we're going to output it into a normal format. So in order to do that, I'm going to type nmap, and then we're going to do that against address 192.168.1.101. All right, and then we want to tell nmap we want it to output it into normal format, and we're going to call the output file, we're going to call that normal underscore output. All right, so I'm gonna hit enter. All right, so this is my nmap scan. We can see all the open ports. So let's view that output file that I just created. So I'm gonna hit cat normal output. All right, hit enter. All right, and as you can see, it looks just like the output that showed up on our screen when we did this scan. So that's what normal output looks like, and it just puts it into a document for you, just so if you wanted to view it later or you wanted someone else to view it in a easy to read format, it's here. All right, so the next format we're going to output into is XML. So save us some time, hit up on my directional pad here. All right, and then I'm going to adjust this command accordingly. So this time, I'm going to tell nmap to run against the same address, but this time I'm going to say output it in an XML file. And to do that is -ox, and then I'm going to name this file, let's see, just XML. Let's give it a different name here. Format, and I'm going to do .xml. All right, now I'm gonna hit enter. All right, so the output of the scan is still going to look the same because it's running the initial scan, but we want to see what the XML document looks like that it outputted to. So I'm gonna do cat XML underscore format dot XML. All right, see, and now we get markup language here. So again, this is probably more suited for machine readable format. but this puts the same format into markup language for us. So the next thing, the last format we're going to go over is what we went over before, but we want to see what greppable format looks like when we do it from this command line and how that differs from normal format in comparison. Both are human readable, but look slightly different. So I'm going to do, no, hold on. File my own device here. All right. And then we're going to change this to -O. See, you want to guess what letter it is? If you guessed uppercase G, you are absolutely correct. All right. And then we're going to name this file greppable format. And just take off this XML. All right. I'm going to hit enter. Okay, there goes our scan. And this time, I'm going to do cat. All right, now we want to view the contents of greppable underscore format. Okay, so as you can see, instead of things showing up vertically, they show up horizontally here. And so again, it's supposed to be more neat, more neat, more better readable. Honestly, it's, in my opinion, it's a bit subjective. I personally prefer the normal format over the greppable format, but I guess some people look at this format and think it's more easier to read. Okay, so I'm gonna clean up my screen here a bit. So I'm gonna just hit clear, clean all that up, and let's get into to Hping. All right, so but hold on, before we get into to Hping, there's some well, okay, before we get into that, I want to show a few other things we could do with nmap while we're on the subject of nmap, because it's such few things I didn't want to do a separate video on it. So let's say we wanted to add a user. All right, since we're in root, we can add a user. So I'm gonna do user add, and we're gonna call this other user user1. All right. All right, so that's fine that we got that error. Because we're gonna see that pretty much still went through. So I'm gonna do switch. SU switch user to user1, and let's see if that worked despite that error. It looks like it did. So I'm going to verify that by saying who am I, and I'm indeed user1. So in order to switch back to root, I'm gonna do sudo su. All right, then I'm gonna enter in my root password here. All right, hold on. And for some reason, it's not like that. So for the sake of time and going back and forth with this thing, I am just going to open up another terminal window because I'm not sure why it's not liking my password today. All right. So, all right, let's first do we're going to do a send scan. So a send scan is just when we send, remember with TCP, you have that three-way handshake: send, act, and then act. So we're just going to do a scan where we're just sending a send packet and just a send packet only. So I want to show what that looks like. All right, I'm going to do it. In order to do that, it's nmap dash lowercase s uppercase s to 192.168. And I'm kind of glad that happened because there's something I want to show you, because we're going to see that sometimes with some scans, it requires more privileged accounts to run. All right, so we're going to do that send scan. So let's see if that works. And as I said, with this error, you requested a scan type which requires root privileges. It's quitting. So let's try to switch to root again. Hopefully this works. I'm not sure what went wrong last time, but let's see. So sudo su. All right. So putting in my password. Okay, worked this time. I'm not sure what was going on last time. Matter of fact, I'm gonna just close out that terminal. Okay, I don't know what was going on there. Okay, so now let's try this again as root. And this is why sometimes it's good to run root privileges, even though we could have done sudo su. That I just wanted to show that, that we could still run the same command using a root account. And this is something too that an attacker could do as well. So looking from a red team perspective, if an attacker came and they got the root password and authenticated as the root user, they could do this as well, as far as doing packet sniffing on your or doing some type of packet enumeration on your system. So I'm hit enter. All right. So just doing, so you see how fast that was, because all I did was send that send part of the TCP handshake to these to the open ports of 192, 168, 101, and it pretty much told me that these are the ports that are open on that server. So it didn't necessarily get a SYNAC packet back, but it still gave me these results when I hit that, when I gave that send packet to the machine. All right. So the next thing we're going to do is we're going to do a dash pn option with our nmap scan. And what this does is it skips the part where we send an ICMP packet to ping the actual devices, because that's what essentially happens in a normal nmap scan, is that it sends a ping packet or an ICMP packet to that machine, just for us to know first to know whether it's running or not, and then it tries to connect to those to those ports, whether they're TCP or UDP. But we're going to skip that part, and by skipping that portion of where nmap pings the machine, it runs the process faster, because it runs the nmap runs assuming that a machine is already up, without checking first to do the ping. So we're going to do nmap dash pn 192 168 101. And you see it came back fairly fast, because again, skip the step where it would check to see if the machine was actually up by pinging it with an ICMP packet, and instead it just went straight into scanning. All right, so finally we're going to go into Hping. Clear my screen here. All right, so before we do some command lines with that. I just want to explain what Hping is. So Hping is a command line utility for assembling and analyzing TCP/IP packets. The packet crafting tool supports various protocols, including TCP, UDP, and ICMP, and allows manipulation of multiple values in TCP and IP header, such as the window size, packet size, time to live. Among its many applications, Hping can be used for firewall testing, advanced port scanning, network testing using different protocols, TOS and fragmentation, manual path MTU discovery, advanced trace route across all supported protocols, remote OS fingerprinting, remote uptime estimation, and TCP/IP stack auditing. The latest version, Hping 3, is scriptable, enabling penetration testers and programmers to write scripts for modifying and analyzing TCP/IP packets. Hping and Hping 3 are used interchangeably throughout what we're going to be doing. All right, so I'm going to first start out by just using Hping 3, and I'm going to show you just what it looks like just for us, just to shell into it. So I'm just going to write simply Hping 3. All right, and now we're in Hping. So I'm not going to do any commands in actual Hping. I'm gonna run it from the regular Kali command line or the bash command line, but I just wanted you to see how to get into ping 3. So I'm gonna do exit to get out. All right. So the next thing we're gonna do the same scan that I just showed you. With nmap, we're gonna do that with Hping, and we're gonna do with Hping 3, and we're gonna do a send scan with it, and then we're gonna look at some output from that. So I'm gonna do Hping 3, and then I'm gonna do -s, and then I'm declaring where I want it to scan, which is 192.168.1.101, same machine we've been working with. All right. And then I also want to tell it what port to scan, which is port 80. And then I'm going to tell it the packet count that I want it to send. So for the sake of time, I'm just going to do one. I'm just going to send one send packet to it, and we'll see what we get. All right, so I sent one send packet to us. So basically, it's just letting us know that that machine is indeed up. So it tells us here one packet was transmitted, one packet was received, 0 packet lost. So in a way, it's just coming back and telling us that, hey, that machine at that address is up. So let's combine this with the same type of scan, but let's combine it now with TCP dump to see if we can analyze that send packet um, um, that send packet connection, and let's see what we get when we try to capture that package and that packet, excuse me, and TCP dump. So we're going to do TCP dump, and then then we're going to tell it what interface we want to work from, and that's ETH0. And then we're going to write port. We're going to write it out on TCP dump. Some tools you have to the syntax is going to differ. So in TCP dump, for example, when you want to scan a specific port, you have to actually write out port instead of like -p when you're using like a HP ping. So your syntax may differ from tool to tool. All right, so I'm gonna do dash and X, and in this I'm telling it to write this file out to a file called send scan. All right, I'm gonna hit enter, and this should start up our packet capture with TCP dump. All right, so then I'm gonna open up a new terminal here, All right, and then I'm going to run Hping. We're going to do that same send scan with Hping 3, but this time we're going to capture the package, the packets, and see what that looks like. You see what information we get from it. Right, and then tell it port 80, and then we want a packet count of just 1. All right, I'm hit enter. Okay, hold on, didn't like something. Let's see, what did I miss from my syntax here? Let's see, Hping 3 -s 192 168 101. Well, yeah, that should have went. Let me see. All right, let's try to run it this way then. Okay. Okay, that looked like that did the trick. Okay, I just needed to run with some privileges there. Okay, I'm going to switch back here to our TC pdump session, and then I'm going to disconnect by doing Control C. All right, so let's see what we captured here in our send scan output document. All right, so what we can see is that we're looking specifically here at flags. So we can see that we sent this send packet, and we can see that by the flags, it's S flag. And so usually when you see an R flag, that's for reset. And the reason we're getting a reset flag here is because we didn't complete the three-way handshake. So instead of getting like a SA flag and then an A flag, we got an R, which is reset because we only sent one packet from that three-way handshake. So it automatically reset on us. So let's do the same thing here. Well, before I want to do an ACK scan, but before I do that, let's play around. Just let's do one more trick here with Hping 3, and let's see what happens when we try to do this same type of Hping to send Hping scan, but we try to do it on multiple on a range of ports. So I'm gonna go back here in my history. So I'm gonna modify my command line accordingly here. All right, so I'm going to replace this S with an 8, and an 8 is what tells it, which basically tells it that we're going to do a port scan, but we're going to do a port scan of a range of ports. So I'm going to do 0 through 100. All right, and then now I'm going to put my S here to let it know that we're doing a send scan. All right, and everything else pretty much stays the same, except I'm going to take these guys out at the end, where I put the port and the packet number. All right, and then we're gonna basically do a Hping to all ports between 0 and 100. I'm gonna hit enter. Okay, so as you can see that it came back and it said that on the machine that it was able to make the connection with these three ports that were open, which is FTP, SSH, and SMTP. All right, so that's from doing a scan from 0 to 100. We got our answer back from these three protocols doing a send scan when scanning the first 100 ports. All right. So now let's move on to ACK scanning, and that's basically when we send an acknowledgement scan to these ports, and let's see what those look like. So we're basically sending the packet that's part of the second phase of that, or more so the third phase of that three-way handshake, and we want to see, well, what does that traffic look like if we try to capture it. So I'm going to start my TCP dump again, going back through my history. All right, and then I'm going to simply change the document that I want to save this to is to ACK_scan. All right. All right, so then we're going to move to the terminal here. All right, and then we're going to run an Hping scan. But this time we're going to send an acknowledge packet, and we're going to send that to our to the same machine we've been working with, 101. And this time we're going to send that to port. So since we now know that port 22 is open, we're going to send this to port 22. And we're only going to send one acknowledgement packet to that. So I'm going to hit enter. My memory slipped that fast that I need privileges to send that. So let's do that in sudo. All right, so it looks like that went through. So I'm going to go back. All right, I'm going to do Control C. All right. Now let's, let me see. Cat knowledge, and then see, what did I call? Oh, no wonder I couldn't see. I'm in the wrong terminal here. All right, there we go. All right, now let's disconnect. Okay, there we go. Now let's do a cat ACK scan. Not sure what happened there. Let's see. All right, let's do that again. Maybe something went wrong and we need to run it again. We'll run it again. Let's try it one more time. Okay, so we're going to have to run this scan again. All right. Oh, that's what happened. We were listening on port 80. All right, so let's listen on port 22 this time. And things should work the way they should have. So I'm going to go back here. All right, so let's run this hping command again. Okay, we're just going to have to type it out. Hping 3 A 192.168.1.101. Right, we want to say we're going to scan port 22, and then we're only going to send one packet. All right. Well, syntax problem again, and then we need the sudo. All right. Going back to my TCP dump session, I'm going to disconnect, Control C. All right. Now let's read that cat act scan. There we go. So this has a period at the end, but if you look next to it, you can see ACK. So this is the ACK packet that I sent to the machine at 190 or 192 168 1.101, and you can see the port number 22. And it came back with that reset flag again, because it's technically we're ending the connection there with the ACK flag. All right, so this is just what this protocol, this handshake looks like when using Hping. It's something that we can use Hping for. So let's try doing a UDP scan with Hping. All right. So with this, we're going to connect to port 161, which is the simple network management protocol port, which is used for managing and monitoring network devices remotely. So make sure that I put the right port here this time. All right, which is 161. And then I'm going to rename this appropriately to UDP scan. All right, then I'm going to hit enter. All right, so over in this terminal, we're gonna run hping 3 again. All right, and this time we're going to put -2, which is indicating the UDP scan, and then 192. Hold on. First things first, sudo hping 3. All right, 168.1.101. All right, then we're going to tell it what port to run on, which is 161, simple network management protocol, and then we send it one packet, one UDP packet. All right, so I'm gonna hit enter. All right, looks like first time's the charm. We'll go back to our TCP dump session here. I'm gonna disconnect, Control C. All right, and then let's view that output. So cat UDP _ scan. Let's see what we got here. All right, so this is where you can see this is basically the UDP connection, and it says it's really nothing more to parse. So you can just see where we're here at 192.168.1.100, and we connected to .101 at port 61, and this is pretty much that UDP connection. So let's see. Let's try to run one more. Let me see. I just want to test something out here. 3. Oops. 2. Let's see. 192.168.1. Oops. 1.101. Okay, let me see. Oh, Then declare my port here. 166. Okay. So just making sure that I had that UDP connection and everything was all right. Just experiment a bit, but that's pretty much it. That's using Hping Hping version 3 to make different sort of TCP connections and then a UDP connection. So then I showed us also how to put our nmap output in the different formats: normal format, XML format, and grepable format. So please like, share, and subscribe, and most importantly, show your work. And God bless.